welcome once again to Canon Andrew White. Andrew, we've got social media in our sights today because that and the war between them seem to be a very poisonous cocktail.
Well, the problem is that social media is one of those things that you can't live with or without. And it certainly has its place in life. And I communicate with a lot of my community and followers through the usual kind of Facebook and airtime. But this week, it's been a major concern what it's doing to young people and adolescents and even children are becoming addicted to it. I know amongst the young people I see at churches, they're even on their phones scrolling during the service. It's totally overtaken their life all the time. And it's been a big mention in the House of Commons yesterday, and the House of Lords have been mentioning it for several weeks now. So we really need to know how we deal with it. Because I think from a Christian point of view, there's also a major spiritual concern that a lot of what these people are looking at is anything but evil. There's young people getting caught up in pornography sites. So that is a problem. And then, as if that isn't enough, the big problem at the moment is the war with Iran. And there are real questions about why we have got this war. Did we really need it? And I must say that I initially thought, yes, we have to control Iran. It's been attacking Israel, attacking so many people. And they are saying all the time, the Iranians saying they wanted to nuke Israel and his friends. So any country which was even perceived as being a friend of Israel was being verbally targeted by Iran. And suddenly we see Trump going in and saying, no, you're not going to win. We're going to sort you out. Who've had contacts in Lebanon over the years. Lebanon was a very diverse community. It was Druze, Christians, and Muslims. But the Muslims were Sunni and Shia and Hezbollah. And it's Hezbollah that they're really trying to get. But the reality is that the masses have been affected and killed. And I can never support my Christians in Lebanon, those I really, really loved. I love them all, but it was difficult when I'd been involved with so many of the churches there, seeing this terrible thing happening.
Yes, I had great difficulty when Israel attacked the Lebanon, and it wasn't the right time, in my opinion, just when the agreement had been reached with Iran. But significantly out of that, we've had the first talk in decades between Israel and Lebanon. So maybe some
In
good.
over 45 years.
Hmm.
And they are due to have talks between their leaders today in DC, which would be incredible.
Yes.
You know, people say that with peace talks, you should start from the bottom up. My reality is, my experience is no. You start from the people who matter and the people who are overseeing it.
Mm. Yes, and as you mentioned, we had 40,000 young people losing their lives. But more than that, over the years, this dreadful regime in Iran has been responsible for millions of deaths. And that gives
Has.
Trump a start.
And we get so frustrated with Trump, and there's so much that he does which we hate. But also, he's the only one willing to even begin to take them on. So it's a very difficult situation. We need to pray for him, and pray that he gets good directions. And I really pray that I can get to see him, to sit down and talk with him and tell him what's really going on, because I know the people who are even doing these attacks. These Ayatollahs are not strange people to me. They're the people I've spent my life with.
Yes, Andrew, you have, but there is a problem here. That being that if they are radical Islam, they believe in the Quran, which tells them that you are an infidel, and that if they
Exactly.
lie to you, then that's a brownie point for them. How can you conduct any sensible peace deal with somebody that is out to get you?
Well, first of all, you have to begin by establishing a relationship with them. And I used to always begin by inviting them to dinner. And they used to always invite me back, and they'd have a whole sheet on the table. And in those days, I was a vegetarian. So it was a bit of a problem. And when I invited ISIS to come to one of these dinners, they said, yes, we'll come, but afterwards we'll chop your head off. So I thought maybe I shouldn't take that one forward. So I didn't. But I'm really praying that I can meet with Trump, because he needs somebody who knows from the inside what these people are like.
It is very difficult, and you've had some difficult times talking and thinking about social media, and people use that. And I am a bit outspoken sometimes, and I sometimes call them cowards. If you've got a point to make, then make it through other means than just calling out somebody and being ever so rude on social media. I mean, we all get problems with that. And the language, Andrew, is appalling. And if you see a posting on there and it's full of effing and jeffing, then immediately dismiss it, because these people are not thinking, and they're full of hate. And this is always a problem. The bigger problem, of course, on an individual, it really affects them because they believe the hate speech that's coming through social media.
What is often coming forward is a sophisticated hate media. It's not just telling them you're awful and going to hell. It's telling them you're awful and we're coming to kill you. Because our Quran tells us that we should kill the imbecile, and you are one of them. And yet I have spent my life working with these people, and I still think we need to. And we need lots of prayer. And one of the key things about my work was these Ayatollahs and co were religious bigots. So I always thought, well, if they're religious bigots, I can be as well. You telling me I'm going to hell? I'll tell you, you are. And so we had very frank conversations, and they respected me for that, that I would speak to them as bluntly as they spoke to me. And the problem is that now the whole concept of even beginning to talk with them is that they have to respond to their enemy. And they have two enemies here, Trump and Netanyahu. And they're very powerful people, and they're often doing what we would consider wrong. And they need somebody to tell them how to go about it in the right way.
I was interested to listen to a conversation that Lord Dennett was having on one of the news channels this week. He was head of the army, now retired, but
he's an outstanding man.
Absolutely.
He was my boss as well.
Yes, he's a Christian. And he says, obviously referring to the Donald, the way to negotiate is to have a big stick. And certainly the Donald Trump and America have a big stick. They're the best in the world in armed forces terms, but with a gentle voice. Now, Trump gets half marks, doesn't he? Because he's got the big stick, but maybe he should learn perhaps to be a bit more gentle, or would they regard that as weakness?
Well, you need gentleness and wisdom. Gentle and wise. And what we've been lacking is on a lot of the wisdom.
And maybe a lot of the truth, because there are statements that have to be made when they're true.
And when we make statements which aren't true, we must repent.
It will find you out in the end.
Trump has had some repenting to do this week, dressing himself up in the image of the Holy One.
Yeah, not the best way to conduct yourself. I think he's seen the light regarding that one. Or was it his advisors? Whichever way, he certainly posted that.
Yes, well, both, I think. He was really reprimanded by those around him. And I think he saw a bit of the light himself.
Yes, which brings us to the Pope, because the Pope, a lot of people don't realize that. The Pope came from a very democratic left-wing activist background before he got into the papacy. And this comes through in the criticisms now of attacking Iran. Difficult territory here, Andrew.
Well, this is one of those situations where I really have a lot of respect for this Holy Father, but I don't think his I would consider him right on everything. You know, you can never find just wars on all the aggressive actions you have to take, especially when they're against such great evil. You can't sit down and start by saying, oh, you Ayatollahs didn't need attacking. You just needed reasoning. Right, they might do, but you've got to put them in the position where they realize that you can actually bring about change and threaten them.
So finally, Andrew, you see yourself hopefully in the position of negotiating with these people. What do you actually say to them?
Well, I want to see Trump first, and I want to say to him, I've lived and worked with these people who are doing these atrocities. And yes, they are evil, but there is a way to come round to them. And the way is not just by hating them. You've got to actually be able to manifest the ways of God to them. And I know people say it's impossible and you can't do it, but I did it for 16 years in Iraq.
The old adage about George Orr being better than war is very apposite.
Absolutely. Well, even Trump has been saying we need a Churchill, we need to listen to Churchill. And that is one of the words of Churchill.
Andrew, thank you so much. Lots to think and pray about at these times because it's only prayer and eventually it's all in the timing, isn't it? God's intervention in all this.
It is all about prayer. It's all about us engaging with God, our Maker and Redeemer.
Thank you so much. We'll see you shortly.